Welcome to the March 6th City Commission meeting. Today we are going to start with a couple presentations and proclamations, and then we'll get into our agenda. But first we have Joyce Diaz from our purchasing department and her team, and they're going to do an update for us on risk management claims team workers' compensation program. So I'll turn it over to you, Joyce.
For the record, Joyce Dias, Risk Management and Purchasing Director. Good morning, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, and staff.
Good morning.
Thank you for the opportunity to highlight the Risk Management and Purchasing Department this year. Today, we will focus on one division within our department that interacts citywide and how that division supports the city and our employee community and their families. The City of Lakeland's Risk Management and Purchasing Division claims team has varied responsibilities, and one function of their role is support of the workers' compensation program. Workers' compensation is provided to those who are injured while working within the scope of their job for the City of Lakeland. I would like to introduce Robert Chensinski, our claims coordinator. Robert's role is to coordinate and manage the city's self-insured risk claims, which include workers' compensation, auto, and general liability. Today, Robert will present to you the risk management objective to show how we manage our claims and maintain efficiency and cost containment while caring for our injured employees.
Good morning.
Good morning.
For the record, Robert Chensinski, Claims Coordinator, Risk Management. I have the opportunity to present a review this morning of the city workers' compensation process. Our philosophy includes three main objectives. These objectives show our commitment and care to the injured employee through the process and the solid foundation for our number one goal, which is having the employee well and recovered. From the beginning, we stay connected with each employee. Staying connected is understanding that this is a difficult time for the employee, and as their employer, we are compassionate, and through our words and actions, we are demonstrating that we care about each employee and the situation they are experiencing. We engage to establish a trusting, credible, and supportive relationship with each employee throughout the process. The risk claims team is there for the employee. Marlo Roberts, one of our risk management assistants, is seen here with an employee explaining the expectations of everyone involved and providing the documentation and information needed to move forward with their care. The journey begins with the employee's initial evaluation at Everside, our employee wellness clinic. The employees are triaged, and on occasions, further care may be medically necessary for some. We endeavor to ensure that the employee is aware of what will happen throughout the course of their care. We conduct what we refer to as soft transfers, coordinating the care prescribed by the healthcare providers. These soft transfers may be with the authorized imaging provider, an urgent care facility, or the local hospital. The city is also fortunate to have the on-site occupational physical therapy team available for our employees if prescribed. As I stated earlier, this experience can be difficult and challenging for the employee. The amount of information that is provided can be overwhelming at times. We strive to effectively communicate with all those involved during the employee's recovery. We are there as a resource to answer questions and assist the employee. There are the supervisors, timekeepers, healthcare providers, imaging specialists, pharmacies, and most importantly, the employee. The management of this process is a solid collaboration with the risk claims team and the Corvell team. Corvell's team works closely with the City of Lakeland's team to collaborate on program objectives to ensure the city's program continues to achieve improved outcomes. The collaboration results in lower medical costs for the city. So much so that the City of Lakeland was recently featured in a case review conducted by Corvell. A copy of this published case review has been provided to you this morning. We continue to improve in any way possible, from the soft transfers throughout the process to the city's effective return to work program. You can see on the chart that these efforts resulted in less days away from the employee's department, eventually returning them to full duty. At the end of fiscal year 2018, the average days for an employee to return to full duty was 96 days from the day of injury. At the end of fiscal year 2022, that average was down to 20 days. By the end of 2018, the risk claims team was staffed and Corvell was fully integrated. The caring and compassionate interaction between the risk management assistants and the employees became the new norm for intake and continues to play a critical role in that process. As seen in the graph, the average days a claim remained open went from 237 days in fiscal year 2018 to 143 days in fiscal year 2019. And those changes were immediate and impactful, with the downward trend continuing through fiscal year 2022. The data shows how the partnership with Corvell and how we work together in the process is both efficient and effective. The customer spotlight was recently posted on the Corvell website. I previously mentioned our goal of having the employees returning to work well and recovered. The Return to Work program includes our claims team working with the employee in our employee wellness clinic, providing occupational health assistance, and coordinating with our third-party administrators and medical providers. During this process, the employee may receive restrictions from the treating physician that cannot be accommodated within their department. In this instance, RISC provides light-duty accommodation until the employee can reintegrate back to their department. In this slide, we have a light-duty employee assisting at RISC, and the second photo reflects that successful integration. Successful reintegration is coordinating the healthcare prescribed by in-network providers and having strong partnerships with all who are involved in the employee's care. Ensuring that the employee and their supervisor understand the process, and that we're complying with Florida Workers' Compensation Statute 440, which guides our decision and supports the employee's work status. Successful reintegration also means that the employee has reached maximum medical improvement, commonly referred to as MMI. Maximum medical improvement is when the employee is improved as much as medically possible. The ultimate goal for everyone involved is having the employee return to work by utilizing our workplace processes designed to facilitate the workplace reintegration of the injured employee. A well and recovered employee would not be possible without all of our partners. I would like to take this time to thank some of the dedicated professionals that are involved, that include the Everside medical staff at the Employee Wellness Clinic, the claims team from Corvell, the physical therapists that are on site, and the risk management leadership team, our director Joyce and our risk manager Brian Riley, both providing the vision and direction for the risk management and purchasing team every day. Thank you. With that, questions?
Thank you, Robert. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments? Yes, Commissioner Madden.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I wanted to give kudos more than a question. I mean, just to see the statistics, to see the 237 days down to 66 days, and just really being intentional about getting folks back to work as medically improved as possible, and coordinating care, and just walking through the process with them. Just wanted to say thank you so much and great job.
Other comments or questions? Thank you all so much. That was really informative, and we really appreciate all the work that you do, especially in the well-being of our employees. So thank you. So now we're going to flip-flop things on the agenda. We're going to go to the Beautification Awards first with Bill Cohen. So Bill, if you want to come up.
Good morning, everyone. I think the residential award will come up first this morning. Here we go. This award, our residential award this month, goes to Carol and William Marshall, who reside at 2644 Collins Avenue. This is a very informal landscape lots of annual flowers, flowering shrubs, and also a lot of butterfly attractors, including milkweed. I went by the project, by the house recently, and all kinds of monarch butterflies were flying around in the front yard. So it's a beautifully maintained informal landscape. I don't think they can be here to receive the award, but I believe someone else may be here to come up and receive the award.
Great, thank you. Come on up here and
Yeah,
we'll
they'll
take a
want us to
picture
come
real
up
quick. And what's your name and?
Ramona Terrio. I have done landscaping for 37 years.
Did you help them with this project?
Yes, I did.
Anything you want to add?
I totally enjoy doing my job, and I love working with the marshals, and it was a wonderful project to do for them.
Awesome.
They're great people.
We're going to look at Jamin real quick. Thank you. Tell the marshals congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll now go to our commercial award. This award goes to Mary's Bagel Cafe, located at 1242 North Florida Avenue. I remember inspecting this maybe 3 months ago, so it's a very new project, beautiful architecture to the building. Property is perfectly maintained, featuring loropetalum shrubs and also crepe myrtles that'll be blooming soon. So it's a great-looking addition to our restaurant inventory here in Lakeland. Is anyone here to receive this award?
Here she is. She's coming up.
Okay, great.
We should order some.
Come on up, Bill. Bill, come on up.
All righty. That's all right. We got plenty of time, so. Good morning. Nice to meet you. Okay.
Your husband abandoned you and made you come up here by himself? You don't want to come down? If Mayor Mutz was here, he'd make you come down.
You would.
Yeah, okay, I'll be nicer. So we're thrilled to have you in town and running your business. Is there anything you want to say specifically?
Well, the name Mary is my grandmother's name, and I was born on that property. So, yeah, it's a dedication to her and to the community in Midtown.
Well, we're lucky to have you. Thank you for being here. And we'll take a quick picture and we'll look at Jamin.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Is there anything you want to add at the mic? Okay, go ahead. Feel free.
What we have going on at the city right now, we're in the process of re-landscaping the Cleveland Heights Golf Course restaurant and building there. Be an interesting process. And the landscape crew is mostly involved in a major project, and that is to replace countless street trees in downtown Lakeland that have overgrown their little boxes and are now cracking the sidewalks. They're having to be replaced, and it's quite an undertaking they're putting on. They did replace 6 palms on Florida Avenue last week, so it's just a thing that may take years to solve all the problems. So, but it has to be done, and we're unfortunately losing a lot of big trees in downtown Lakeland, but it's reached the point they're cracking the sidewalks and the infrastructure, so it's just something we have to do, so.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And just a reminder to the public, if you have a nomination for beautification, nominations for around town, if you see a business or a residential home that you think looks really good, send those in to parks@lakelandgov.net. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir. So sorry.
But Bill, I had someone ask me to speak to you this morning. I'm not sure if it's your department, but they said they need a little bit more mulch in the dog park down on Cleveland Heights as well.
Okay, which dog park?
The one on Cleveland Heights.
Cleveland Heights.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty popular dog park.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Reed. No. Well, thank you, Bill, and a round of applause again for our Beautification Award winners. Thank you. Next on our agenda is our City Maker Award. I'll turn this over to Chris Ann, who will come up.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Good morning, everybody. I get the pleasure and absolute privilege of presenting an award each quarter through Love Lakeland's City Maker program. And if you're not familiar, because I know every time I'm at a city commission meeting, I see faces that I haven't seen before. So if this is one of your first times at a commission meeting, this is the opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about what a city maker is. And I'm going to encourage all of you while I'm up here and while it's fresh on your minds to think about someone who may fit this description, that you can go to lovelakeland.com and make a nomination. There's a simple form, you just fill it out, and then maybe next time we're up here, we're honoring the person that you think deserves this recognition. But the question that we ask is, what is a city maker? Because you probably haven't heard of that before. A city maker recognizes, the City Maker Award itself recognizes energetic contributors who have taken creative, positive, and sometimes risky action for the greater good of our Lakeland community. You might put it into a word, maybe entrepreneurial, because that risky part is a little bit harder for people to wrap their head around. These are citizens who look for ways to make things better through their business, their creations, their events, their works of art, innovative ideas, and ultimately through championing community initiatives with their fresh new perspectives. So today I get the opportunity to honor, if I can get my website to go. Drum roll, please. The City Maker this quarter is our friend Teresa O'Brien, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her before I call her up and put her on the spot. Teresa is a bright, bright light in our community. She is an energetic go-getter, somebody who really, really sees the way things need to be and works to try and make that happen. And how she does that is through her business called Help Her. And how Help Her came to be was when her husband sold his company, he turned to her and said, how can we help one of your dreams come true? What can we do to make something that you've been dreaming of possible? And she said, what if there are other women like me who have time to contribute but maybe need just a flexible schedule? So instead of getting a full-time job where they are basically unable to take their kids to school or spend time in the PTO, they're locked into their jobs. Maybe they have time to contribute a little bit of time each week to a project or a task or something that they're good at. But they just want to be able to do it to help people out and be a part of helping someone through maybe coming home after a difficult pregnancy or a business that's not really ready to hire a full-time employee but really wants to start to grow. And so her idea came to life in the vision of Help Her. And so I would love to invite Teresa and Kevin and anyone that's here with you to come up and receive this amazing award. And I'm going to invite our sponsor, Sean McDonough from S&D Real Estate Services, to come up and present it to her.
Can I take you everywhere?
Oh, sure. Before we do the photo and all of that fun stuff, I want you to have a chance to say something after Sean presents it to you.
Yes, well, thank you so much. We're just so excited to have people like Teresa, awesome people like you and your husband in our awesome community. S&D Real Estate loves Lakeland, as you do and as all of us in this room do, and we're just thankful to have people like you in our community. Thank you.
I wrote something. Okay.
Thank you. Want me to hold this too?
No.
Got it?
Yes, thank you. Okay. At 19, I left my hometown, Gloucester, Virginia, and planted myself in Lakeland as a college student. I started my career at Polk County Schools, and I grew our blended family of 5 with my high school sweetheart, Kevin O'Brien. I have made some big, brave choices while in Lakeland, growing our family through state adoption twice, resigning from my full-time job that I absolutely adored to be a stay-at-home mom. It was a hard choice. Utilizing my skills to support my husband's business and produce a feature-length film here in Lakeland. Created a community that I like to call my family. Creating and launching my very own business, Help Her, on January 9th, 2020, right before COVID. We're here. all the while growing, evolving, and learning more of who I am and what I can and should offer to this big, small world. I bravely made decisions that have brought me to you today. I want to thank the Love Lakeland team, those that nominated me, and for Mayor Mutz for this beautiful recognition and for seeing me. It's an honor because in this span of 22 years in Lakeland, when I made those decisions, I feared at times that I was losing myself. But at 41, I can confidently say, when I thought I might have been missing out, I really was just growing to be more of me. And that is the heart of my business in Lakeland. I created it for the women, the helpers. I recently was sent this text from a woman we placed in a full-time job in Lakeland, and she writes, "My life experience with job searches has not been the greatest. I felt I was overlooked for positions due to my ethnicity or undervalued due to my gender. Whether it was true every time, I still developed a deep-seated insecurity that has kept me from applying for job positions, asking for a living wage that I'm worth, or even having the guts to turn down an offer. Helper was more than a recruiter experience. Helper is a needed resource for all communities who want to see their businesses level up, mine out talent that already exists in our community, and authentically create empowered women's support system. I got to this stage by being myself, and I'm going to keep on doing that. And I vow to continue to lead from my heart and advocate for all women in Lakeland. Thank you for seeing us."
Howard and Linda, if you guys can come up so we can take this awesome picture with our city maker.
And just on a personal note, we have been clients of Teresa's. My mom and I, whether it was a graduation party I need help with or packing and moving our house when we had a leak, or my mom has continually supported your business too. So we're grateful because it's a perfect thing to have in Lakeland, especially when we have women who are maybe stepped off their career track and they want to get back in, or maybe they don't want to get back in, but they do want to contribute. So thank you for everything you do. We're big believers in Helper.
Thank you. And we also wanted to present you with an official Love Lakeland pin.
Thank you.
3, 2, 1.
Thanks, Christiane. All right, now we're going to go into our proclamation phase of the meeting. The first proclamation we have today is our Irish American Heritage Month, which is celebrated today. Here to accept the proclamation is George Sean Canning, Florida State Secretary for AOH. If you want to come on up, Ancient Order of Hibernians. We had to practice the pronunciation, and by we, I mean me, earlier before the meeting. Whereas by 1776, nearly 300,000 Irish nationals had immigrated to the American colonies and played a crucial role in America's war for independence, and whereas 5 signers of the Declaration of Independence were of Irish descent, 3 signers were Irish-born, and the Irish Americans helped to fashion a system of government forming our young nation, and whereas 22 presidents have proudly proclaimed their Irish American heritage, whereas in 1792, Irish-born James Hoban provided the architectural plans for the White House and served as one of the supervising architects for the construction of the Capitol, and whereas the United States Congress recognized Irish-born Commodore John Barry in September of 2002 as the first flag officer of the United States Navy, whereas the Irish first came to Spanish La Florida in the 1500s, first as missionaries and mercenary soldiers, and then as planters, traders, businessmen, doctors, administrators, and 3 of the Spanish governors of La Florida were Irish military officers. Whereas Father Richard Arthur, an Irish-born priest from Limerick, who was appointed a parish priest in St. Augustine in 1597, and ecclesiastical judge of La Florida, established the first public school in America and opened it to both boys and girls of all races. Whereas Andrew Jackson, whose family came from County Antrim, served as Florida's military governor following its acquisition by the United States. And whereas Irish Americans since America's inception have provided and continue to provide leadership and service to this nation's political, business, and religious establishment. And whereas it is fitting and proper to celebrate the rich cultural Irish heritage and the many valuable contributions of Irish Americans, Mayor H. William Mutz, City of Lakeland, and on behalf of the entire Lakeland Commission do hereby proclaim March 2023 as Irish American Heritage Month. And as a descendant of an Irishman, I'm so thrilled to have you here today, and I'm glad we got to talk before the meeting.
Good. Thank you. Rich or Margin, good morning. Mayor William Mutz, Mayor Pro Tem McCarley, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Irish American community in Florida, I would like to express my gratitude for your kind consideration in designating March as Irish American Heritage Month. As of this date right now, there are 60 proclamations that have come in so far, and to my knowledge, Florida is actually leading the nation in these proclamations. St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, is without question the biggest celebration of a national day across the globe. Throughout American and Canadian cities, in Ireland, in the United Kingdom and Germany, in Norway and Denmark, in Australia and New Zealand, in South Korea, Japan, Nigeria, Grenada, and even on the Caribbean island of Montserrat, which, by the way, is the only other country in the world to declare St. Patrick's Day a national holiday. People will be celebrating this holiday and proclaiming themselves Irish for the day. This proclamation will coincide with festivities that are currently underway as Irish Americans once again gather to celebrate their heritage throughout the state of Florida. During the month of March, Irish Floridians proudly reflect on the legacy of their Irish forebears, who have contributed significantly in the areas of education, business, sports, literature, science, engineering, medicine, law enforcement, and the arts. These are just some of the contributions that have been made, not only by the Irish, but by so many ethnic and racial groups who came to the United States from the four corners of this world and who have assisted in developing this great country of ours. As the current Florida AOH State Secretary, immediate past National Director for the Southern States, and past Florida State President of the Ancient Order of Hibernians, the oldest and largest Irish organization in the world, tracing our origins back to the 1500s. I would like to acknowledge the esteemed honor Mayor Mutz and the city councilors have bestowed upon all Irish Americans living within this great state of Florida. Gora mahagud agus lo ela Padraig Fé Hanagach. Thank you and have a blessed St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much again. Thank you, sir. Next, we have the James Henry Mills Medal of Honor Day. If you'd like to come up here to accept the proclamation is Sheila Tyndall, President of the United Daughters of Confederacy, Ann Darracott, number 791, and Gail Jesse, Florida Division Honorary President. Good morning. Come on up. Keep walking. Oh, perfect.
So we know who James Henry Mills is. World War II, he was a private in the U.S. Army.
And I'll read the proclamation, and then you can share a couple more words if you like. Whereas James Henry Mills, born May 2nd, 1923, was the youngest of 5 children of a widow who ran her citrus grove and drove a school bus daily to make ends meet, he was an avid hunter who learned to shoot a rifle from his hip due to a childhood illness because it was too heavy for his arms to hold. Whereas after World War II began, he was rejected the first 2 times he tried to enlist because recruiters were convinced he wasn't physically strong enough. And whereas he joined the Army from his birth city of Fort Meade in September 1943 at the age of 20 and was the only Polk County, Florida native to receive the Medal of Honor in World War II. It's a very big deal. Whereas on May 24th, 1944, Mills killed 4 German soldiers and caused the capture of 31 more while drawing fire that left holes in the sides of his baggy military shirt. The action occurred near the village of Cisterna de la Toria as American soldiers, virtually surrounded by German troops, broke out of the Anzio beachhead and fought north toward Rome. And whereas Mills was so self-effacing that weeks later he was worried when his captain told him to get in his Jeep and drive him to a villa, Mills thought he was being court-martialed for losing his rifle during a battle in which his knuckles in one hand were shattered. Instead, he was greeted by American and British generals and the Army Press Corps and received the United States' highest award for military bravery. Whereas Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, bestowed the United States' highest military award for valor to Mills for demonstrating conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his own life above and beyond the call of duty. Mills' actions allowed his platoon to reach its objective without casualties. And whereas Mills, wounded severely in his hand in a later battle and now a hero, was sent back to the United States in the fall of 1944 to sell war bonds, he was discharged from the service in 1945 and returned to Polk County. And whereas it is fitting and proper to remember his selflessness, gallant action, unwavering devotion, and extraordinary heroism, which are the words enshrined with the receiving the Medal of Honor, by honoring the sacrifice of the recipient, by sharing his story and the values inherent in them, we better understand the responsibility and potential within each one of us to inspire the world. Now, therefore, H. William Mutz, Mayor of the City of Lakeland, do hereby proclaim March 25th as James Henry Mills Medal of Honor Day. Please join me in a round of applause.
I am honored to do this for James Henry Mills. His life didn't end well. I wanted to share that as a good Samaritan, he and his co-worker were driving on a road, a highway, where he stopped to help 3 individuals, and it was a carjacking. They, of course, they beat them savagely and left them for dead. They took Mr. Mills' vehicle, ran over him, and he was able to drag himself to a neighbor household where he was given medical aid, and 3 days later he passed away, being a good Samaritan, and he passed away on Veterans Day, November the 11th, 1973. So he deserves, not only for what his actions in the military, but what he did that day being a good Samaritan. And I would like to know if you have any veterans and you would like to share their story with us, please write me at AHD. president791@hotmail.com. We would love to hear your veteran story. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We're going to take a picture real quick.
This is a picture of his. This is a picture of the medal that was given to him in 1944.
Awesome. Let's come step over here.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you again. And our last proclamation is to celebrate Purchasing Month, and here to accept is Joyce Diaz, who we heard from earlier, Risk Management and Purchasing Director, and Mark Rayford, Purchasing Manager. I'm going to start reading while y'all walk. Whereas the public procurement profession plays a significant role in the efficiency and effectiveness for both government and business, and whereas in addition to the purchase of goods and services, procurement adds value to the organization by performing functions such as executing, implementing, and administering contracts, developing strategic procurement strategies, and cultivating working relationships with suppliers and other departments within the organization. And whereas public procurement professionals in the City of Lakeland Purchasing and Stores Division and in other public and private organizations have tremendous influence on economic conditions in the United States, with a cumulative purchasing power running into the billions of dollars. Whereas the Purchasing and Stores Division in the City of Lakeland is committed to provide high-caliber strategic, logistical, and operational support for all departments within the city. And whereas the Purchasing and Stores Division in the City of Lakeland recognizes, supports, and practices the public procurement values and guiding principles of accountability, ethics, impartiality, professionalism, service, and transparency established by the NIGP, the Institute for Public Procurement, as fundamental tenets of the public procurement profession. I don't know if anyone proofread this to see all the alliteration. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. Whereas the City of Lakeland Purchasing and Stores Division and other professional purchasing associations throughout the world engage in special efforts during the month of March to inform the public about the importance of the role played by procurement profession in business, industry, and government. Therefore, H. William Mutz, Mayor of the City of Lakeland, do hereby proclaim March 2023 as Purchasing Month in the City of Lakeland.
Thank you.
Do that. And say public purchasing power.
I'm not, or 3 times fast, no. I just want to say thank you to the commission and city management team for their support of what we do in the purchasing division, and then Mark Rayford and his team for their dedication to purchasing and everything that they do.
Thank you, Joyce. Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, City Manager's Office, City Attorney's Office, our Finance Department, our City Clerk's Office. On behalf of our risk management and purchasing staff, we want to offer our thanks for your gracious support and our programs and our policies and continuing to help us do what we do for the city. On behalf of Purchasing Month, I wanted to make just a quick announcement to announce our partnership with a company called OpenGov. OpenGov is an electronic procurement platform, and through its OpenGov procurement platform, we are excited to announce our transition to a fully automated web-based electronics bidding and vendor management system. We're looking forward to implementing this platform to streamline our procurement process, strengthen communication, and provide easy access to information, reports, and status updates to not only our user department city staff, to our vendors, suppliers, and contractors. And to those community members, we encourage you to visit our website at www.lakelandgov.net/purchasing and register through OpenGov to become eligible to receive automatic notifications and become part of this strengthened, improved communication process.
How about a round of applause for our risk management? Yeah, you all come on up, and we're going to slide this way for a picture. Come on, come on, come on. Tell us where, Jamin.
You good right there. Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. You guys do a great job. Great job, Matt. Okay. Every time I do that, I have more and more respect for Mayor Mutz and reading proclamations publicly. We are going to move into our agenda with the approval of the consent agenda, which are the items under minutes, City Commission Strategic Planning Retreat, and City Commission meeting minutes from February 17th through the 20th, as well as 6C1 and 7A.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner McLeod and a second by Commissioner Reed. Any questions or discussion from the commission? Any from the audience? Seeing none, this is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, the motion carries. We have no request to appear from the general public, and we go on to item number 2, equalization hearings, lots and cleaning.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The city charter requires that the city commission convene as an equalization board prior to imposing a special assessment lien against property when the city has mowed or otherwise cleared that property. So if you've received a notice to appear this morning relating to a special assessment lien to be imposed against your property, this is your opportunity to address the city commission about that and object to that or ask any questions that you might have.
Okay, seeing none, are there any questions or comments by commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Music.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Do we have, as I look through this list, you know, we've got one on Lafayette that's got quite a sizable chunk of money outlaid there, 7,200 and something right there. I guess my question is, how long will we let that go? At some point, is there the closing of the property, acquisition? How does that work? I mean, that's a pretty high number.
Right, and I need to know more details about what went on with that. I mean, some of these are not just the city going out and mowing the property. It's also sometimes when there's a bunch of junk that has to be cleared off and you take it to the landfill, or it may just be multiple
We will not let
situations.
that dollar figure continue indefinitely.
No, and as you've seen before, the ultimate end of the process is putting these on the tax roll, and if they're not paid in conjunction with the tax bill, then ultimately that property goes to the county and then ultimately comes to the city.
All right, thank you.
Other questions or comments? All right, do we have a motion to approve lots and cleaning?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Music and a second from Commissioner Madden. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we will cease meeting as an equalization board and move back into our city commission meeting to do item number 3, public hearings. There are no second readings, but we do have ordinances for first reading, starting with B1.
And these are both first readings, but also because of the nature of the ordinances are a public hearing, so after I read the titles, we would need to open this up for any public comment. The first is proposed ordinance number 23-004, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Lakeland, Florida relating to the Land Development Code, amending Article 2, Use Standards, and Article 5, Standards for Specific Uses of the Land Development Code to allow for the development of affordable multifamily residential projects within certain non-residential zoning districts subject to certain location criteria, development standards, and an approval process, making findings, finding conformity with the comprehensive plan, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the commission with regard to this ordinance? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number B2.
2 is proposed ordinance number 23-011, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Lakeland, Florida relating to the Land Development Code, amending Article 2, Use Standards, Section 2.6, Master Use List, to add public safety and security facilities, including police, fire rescue, and ambulance facilities, as permitted uses under the general use category, utility and essential service facilities, Level 1, finding conformity with the comprehensive plan, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Thank you, Attorney Davis. Any public comment on item number B2? Seeing none, we'll move to miscellaneous items, C1.
Item C1 is a annual report that the city is required to do. The city, as you know, is a certified planning area within the state, which has a lot of benefits to the city of Lakeland, including not having to send most of our comp plan amendments to the state for review, so that it expedites the process quite a bit, and it's a reflection of the good planning practices adopted by the city. As part of our agreement with the state, we have to do an annual report. Chuck, I don't know if it's you or someone that's going to present that report.
And we had a very thorough discussion about this at our agenda study on Friday. And just so the public knows, this is a wonderful example of how best practices really underpin and fortify our planning department. They are ahead of the curve in providing this, and so the state of Florida recognizes that when not making us go through as many hoops as maybe other agencies and municipalities have to. We just have excellent planners in our department who we're very, very proud of.
Well, and thank you very much on behalf of the Community Economic Development Department. For the record, Chuck Barnaby, we have an extremely talented, well-experienced staff that covers the waterfront from planning to housing to code enforcement that all make this possible. We are one of the 4 or 5 certified planning communities in the state of Florida, which, as Mr. Davis said, does give us a lot of flexibility when it comes to administering our land use amendment process, being able to make certain adjustments to our land development code, and ultimately implementing our comprehensive plan so that it really improves the quality of life for our residents and visitors. The certification report for the past year addresses the annexations, the large and small scale land use changes that have been made over the past year, as well as how we're meeting targets related to from items from affordable housing to our multimodal transportation system, all based on a comparison between 2022 and 2004. I think probably the area where we are having the biggest issues at this point is when it comes to affordable housing. The amount of cost per single-family home has increased substantially, as everybody knows. The wages haven't kept up quite as much, and so that's, I think, where our biggest shortfall is at this point in time. We have seen some, I think, very positive steps related to water consumption, electric usage, as well as our vehicle miles traveled in the Lakeland planning area relative to the rest of the county. So there are a number of positives, but affordable housing, I think, is probably our biggest issue right now.
Do we have questions? Yes, Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Chuck. And I know on the Central Florida Regional Planning Council board, which I sit on, frequently our planning department is mentioned, as Commissioner McCarley said, as leading the way, best practices, and as an example to others. And I'm curious, you said 4 or 5 cities are certified communities?
Correct. Out of about 415 in the state.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that is, and it's something to, I know we're reminded of that every year, but it is good to hear that again. And so great work to the planning department and everyone out there.
Other comments or questions from Commission? Any, oh yes, Commissioner Simmons, so sorry.
Chuck, you mentioned affordable housing is an issue. Specifically, what's the downside of our affordable housing program?
I think it's, and this is something it's not just a Lakeland problem, it's a state of Florida problem, but it's just very hard to get folks to be able to live in a home or even rent in a location where they are close to work, close to transportation options. It really affects their overall quality of life. And so our housing prices, when you started to look at, and this is just on the single family side, from the 2004 to 2022, we were in the mid 100s, about 150 or so per single family home in 2004. Now we're over 260, almost 270,000 per single family home across the metro area. So that, when the median wages only go from 42 to 53,000 a year, it really puts a pinch on family budgets to be able to afford groceries, utilities, and all of those other things. And one of the other things that we try to stress too is that one of the key problems or elements related to affordable housing, particularly in our area, is transportation. And so that's why we really try to focus development on areas that are served by the Citrus Connection, areas that are closer into the downtown and the central city area. We have a more lenient roadway level of service standards in the central city so that we can get folks closer to mass transit and where they don't necessarily have to drive. There's been some huge fluctuations in terms of fuel cost, and that all again, on top of housing costs, really has a negative impact on affordability in our area.
Just one follow-up question. Any thoughts as to how this situation could be improved?
We're really trying to tackle it on a number of fronts. The infill lot program that's administered by our housing division is a very key component of it. Incentive to encourage affordable housing, like we have seen in the Griffin Road corridor, I think is another key. Just in terms of trying to get additional multifamily and single-family housing stock. And so we work very closely with the development community to get these projects through the review and permitting process, while also making sure that through our zoning and through our comprehensive plan, and actually through a lot of our plan unit development, our custom zoning ordinances, making sure that we have the bike facilities, the sidewalk facilities, the open space requirements to be able to create better neighborhoods, better communities. When most people think of quality of life, you think of the central city. But we've had a lot of growth in Southwest Lakeland, North Lakeland, and pretty much all of the quadrants, and making sure that these new neighborhoods that we have can continue to have the same assets that the older parts of the city have are really going to be key. But those are all things that help us be able to create quality of life and affordability, and a lot of it is just through our processes and how our department really works every day to serve the customers and get product on the ground.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Commissioner Reeve.
Thank you. There again, I would like to congratulate Brian and his staff. This is a great honor for us to have be able to not have to transport everything up to DCA and it cuts the process to our local citizens tremendously amount. It's on a two-pronged, I guess, benefit, but negative components all. As the realtors say, we're in a mega growth city, where Lakeland is one of the premier growth areas in the United States and number one in Florida. And so our affordability is, when we are growth, because our medium income homes are a lot less than Orlando, Tampa, and so that's good from that standpoint, but invariably that draws more people to us, and it's creating our issues with traffic, and our affordability is gradually being negated, to make a long story short. And so, to answer your question, I don't know what we can do. Prices are going up, and you're well with building that cost of construction is going up as well. Fortunately, we're in a good position with our infrastructure that we can facilitate most of it, but we still think we need to do more with our traffic, but hopefully we get some effort from the bigger powers up in the state of Florida and Tallahassee. But thank you and congratulations again.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Kelly, did I have a motion on that?
I don't think we had a motion.
Okay, I need a motion to approve. Thank you. Commissioner Music, and a second from Commissioner Simmons. We'll go and try this again. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Kelly. Sorry about that.
And thank you, the commission, for all of your support and helping the community achieve these goals.
Thank you, Chuck. We appreciate you all. Moving to item number 4, we have no report from the Community Redevelopment Agency, and we'll move on to item number 5, City Manager.
Good morning, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. I just have one item for presentation this morning, and this is on a recommendation to purchase media for a chlorine scrubber at the Williams Water Treatment Plant from F.J. Nugent and Associates. The chlorine dry scrubber at the Williams Water Treatment Plant is utilized to neutralize any gaseous chlorine in the event of a leak. To function, the dry scrubber uses media, which is a consumable product and breaks down over time and is currently in need of replacement. The two companies providing quotes are the only known suppliers of this type of media, and Water Utilities has experience with both companies. The recommendation is actually to go with the company that has the highest total cost that was quoted. However, when you look at the life expectancy of the two different suppliers, one has a greater life expectancy of 7 years versus the other at 4. So when you break that down by a per year cost, the higher total bid ends up being more economical on an annual basis. We also have experience with the one that's being selected at our Glendale wastewater plant, and rather than the 7 years life expectancy on that product, we've actually seen where we've been able to utilize that product for up to 10 years. So it's recommended that we authorize, or the City Commission authorize, the purchase in the not to exceed price of $65,640, and the water utility has funding in their budget for this purchase.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner McLeod. Any questions from the commission? Had a pretty good discussion about this on Friday. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We'll move on to item 6A1, ordinances, first reading from City Attorney. And point of clarification, do we also have public comments on each of these?
These are just first reading without any public comment.
Okay, thank you.
And these will come back for an actual public hearing with public comment on March 20th, with the exception of the third item, proposed ordinance 23014, relating to the self-storage facility on Hardin Boulevard. Because of scheduling issues, that will come back for its public hearing, second reading and public hearing on April 3rd. So I'll read these into the record.
Thank you.
The first item is proposed ordinance number 23-012, an ordinance relating to local government comprehensive planning, making findings, providing for small-scale amendment number LUS 22-009 to a certain portion of the future land use map of the Lakeland Comprehensive Plan, our Community 2030, changing the future land use designation on approximately 3.53 acres located at 1205 Neville Avenue from residential medium RM to residential high RH, providing for severability, providing an effective date. Next is proposed ordinance number 23-013, an ordinance relating to zoning, making findings, providing for a change in zoning from RA3, single-family residential, to PUD, planned unit development zoning, to allow an 88-unit multifamily residential development on approximately 3.53 acres located at 1205 Neville Avenue, providing conditions, finding conformity of the comprehensive plan, providing for severability, providing an effective date. So those two ordinances will come back for a public hearing and consideration of adoption on March 20th. And then the third ordinance for first reading is proposed ordinance number 23-014, an ordinance relating to zoning, making findings, amending ordinance 3432 as amended to provide for a major modification to planned unit development zoning to allow a two-story, 94,000 square foot mini warehouse self-storage facility on approximately 4.33 acres located at 2575 Hardin Boulevard, providing conditions, finding conformity with the comprehensive plan, providing for severability, providing an effective date, and that ordinance will come back for the second reading, public hearing and consideration of adoption on April 3rd.
Thank you.
Several resolutions for action this morning. The first is proposed resolution number 23-010, a resolution relating to assessments, determining the necessity for having cleaned and cleared certain properties within the city of Lakeland, providing for the assessment of liens against such property for expenses incurred in the cleaning and clearing thereof, providing an effective date.
Move to approve.
We have a motion from Commissioner Reed. Second from Commissioner Simmons. Any discussion by the commission? Any by the audience? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Commissioner McLeod?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is proposed resolution number 23-011, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Lakeland, Florida relating to planning, amending the City of Lakeland Local Government Comprehensive Planning Certification Program Agreement, providing for an amended boundary description of the certified area, making findings, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Commissioner McLeod. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Reed. This is what we discussed earlier with with Mr. Barmby. Is there any commissioner comment or questions? Any comments or questions from the public? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote as well. Commissioner Simmons?
Yes.
Aye.
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 Yes.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is proposed resolution number 23-012, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Lakeland, Florida relating to transportation, approving and authorizing the Mayor Pro Tem to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation on behalf of the City of Lakeland for the I-4 Florida Regional Advanced Mobility Elements Project, making findings, providing an effective date.
Have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion from Commissioner Reed, a second from Commissioner McLeod. Any discussion from the commission?
Yes.
Yes, Commissioner Simmons?
Could you explain it?
And we have Tess Schwartz from Public Works, who's been working on this, that can go into the more technical details of this.
And this is the platform, correct, that we are going to work with the Florida Department of Transportation on, correct? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So the traffic signal system that the city operates, we have 177 signals, 109 of them belong to the DOT. This particular project will allow the DOT to install what are called roadside units that pave the way for connected vehicle technology, where the DOT or the city could send out, for example, safety messages to drivers. And it allows us to better manage regional traffic.
I remember going over that in the agenda set. I just didn't equate it with this particular resolution. But thank you, I understand now.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Any other questions? Yes,
Would be,
Commissioner
maybe
Reed.
the public would want to hear a little bit of this, because this is one of the interchanges that we are going to try to get implemented and fixed, 33, but I'm just,
This is the,
camera still.
yes. If you want to go into a little more detail similar to what you provided on Friday at the agenda study, it might be good for the public to hear.
Yes, so this is to install, like I said, roadside units. So basically, if there's an incident on I-4, it would allow us to better coordinate regionally with the DOT to, for example, route traffic through town, to change the traffic signals to flush people through and get them back onto the highway, and other potential uses of connected vehicle technology that I've read as part of this project would potentially be to, for example, if there's a crash, to send out a message to vehicles with the connected vehicle technology to tell the driver, hey, slow down, there's a crash ahead. So it's putting in the framework for that.
this is something that would connect with Waze, because that's, I use them quite when I'm going down the interstate, and tells me what's happening miles ahead and stuff like that. Is this part of that, be part of that program?
Waze is crowdsourced data generally. This actually allows a direct connection between the vehicles and the infrastructure.
Okay.
If
The
that
Waze
makes
is
sense.
more of a reporting mechanism, so
Right.
people who've driven that way are the ones who can note on their Waze app if there's something going on.
Right.
This would be a direct connection between the Florida DOT.
Yeah, so the messages would be coming directly from the DOT or from our operations center, or potentially from sensors on the road. I've heard that as a potential as well, like if there's, a dangerous weather condition that sensors pick up. I mean, I think that's more likely in the Northeast, but yeah, there's a lot of things we can do with it. This is just the basic infrastructure being put in.
Yes. Other questions? Yes, Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I know we keep asking a lot of questions about this, and we did on Friday, and I think we're trying to make sure we understand it and how it applies out on the roadways. You may have said this on Friday, but does this program apply only to the DOT-managed signals, or is it all of the ones we have?
I believe the equipment is being installed on the DOT owned intersections. If the system gets up and running and we find it useful, there's a potential that we could install some of this technology at city-owned intersections.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
And could you just give a couple examples of what a DOT-owned intersection is locally, like a name of an intersection that might be DOT and then one that might just be city?
So like all of the intersections along Bartow Road, a lot of the intersections along 98, like if you are up at the mall on 98, that those intersections are state-owned. A city-owned intersection.
A lot of intersections along Memorial Boulevard,
Or city?
yeah, or intersections of city and state road.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry, we keep asking. I think we're, like, as Commissioner McLeod said, we're just trying to be able to articulate it ourselves to the public at large, but we need to understand it pretty thoroughly. So thank you for that. Any questions from the public? Seeing none, this is a I'm lying, this is a roll call vote. Yeah, I jumped ahead on my agenda. Commissioner McLeod?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Right, motion
All right,
carries.
the final resolution is proposed resolution number 23-013, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Lakeland, Florida relating to industrial development bond financing, making findings, adopting an application form, fees, and requirements for industrial development bond financing through the City of Lakeland, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion from Commissioner McLeod and a second from Commissioner Music. Do we have any questions or comments from the commission? We, again, talked about this pretty thoroughly on Friday in our agenda study. Are there any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, this is also a roll call vote. Commissioner Music?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll now go into miscellaneous reports, C2.
Good morning. We have a task authorization with Kaminga and Rudovitz. This is for the Griffin Road gravity sewer replacement. Approximately 1,600 feet of existing iron pipe sewer will be replaced. Line will be replaced with PVC pipeline. The existing pipe that's in the area has deteriorated because of corrosive sewer gases. In order to go ahead and proceed with the project, Water Utilities had pre-qualified a number of contractors pursuant to executed agreements, and from that, the purchasing department then issued a bid on December 16th, 2022 to procure services from pre-qualified contractors to perform the work on the Griffin Road project. Of the pre-qualified contractors, two companies submitted bids. Kaminga and Rudovitz was the lowest, most responsive bidder at an evaluated cost of $2,822,910. Kaminga and Rudovitz will perform all the construction services in accordance with the terms and conditions of the existing pre-qualified contract. Those will include utilities constructions of the gravity sewer main and manholes, as well as relocation of 2 existing force mains and all of the dewatering, site work, restoration, and pavement restoration in order to have the sewer main installation complete. It's anticipated that it'll probably take about 270 calendar days to complete once the notice to proceed is issued by the city. This is a total not to exceed, again, of $2,822,910. This is budgeted in Water Utilities FY 2023 budget, and we ask for your favorable approval.
Move for approval?
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Music and a second from Commissioner Reed. Any discussion or questions from the commission? Seeing none, any from the audience? All right, this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries.
The next item that we have is a purchase of two 70 horsepower pumps for the lift station at Glendale with Xylem Water Solutions USA. The lift station at the Glendale plant, the pumps, these are the pumps that pump in all of the incoming wastewater that eventually gets treated, that goes through the treatment process. The existing pumps, there's 6 that are currently tasked with this process, including one as a pump that serves as a backup. Recently, one of those pumps fails, and during the evaluation of the repair process, the city determined that the replacement parts weren't available, and during that process, a second pump failed, which creates a critical need to procure the replacement pumps first and foremost, because these particular pumps work to handle all of Glendale plant's permitted capacity, which is about 13.7 million gallons per day, in addition to peak flow during storm season. So the need is critical to go ahead and procure these pumps. Xylem has been approved by the city's purchasing department as a sole source vendor. They are the only authorized vendor of these pump products and only authorized service repair and warranty provider for Florida. The normal lead time is typically 16 to 18 weeks, and because that takes us into storm season and the need to get these pumps ordered quickly, staff is asking that we expedite the delivery time to 8 to 10 weeks. This is an additional cost of $15,600. So the total cost of the 2 pumps is $144,613.14, and then in addition to the $15,600 for the expedited delivery, the total cost is $160,213.14. These pumps are funded in wastewater's budget for the FY 2023 budget, and we'd ask for your favorable approval.
Move for approval?
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Music and a second from Commissioner Simmons. Commissioner Music.
Question. First off, when you look and you see that the storms are only 16 to 18 weeks away, that's not good. What is the life expectancy on these?
So typically, the existing pumps that failed, they're about just over 10 years old, but the typical life expectancy for the pumps is about 15 years. And these particular pumps that we're procuring come with a 5-year warranty as well on those pumps.
So when I look at the photos that are included in our documents here, you know, it is a submersible pump. Do they have to drain all of that to be able to get in there to work on the pump? Is it installed?
I'm going to defer to Robbie on that.
Sorry about that. I should have thought about that as soon as I asked that question.
Robbie Kness, Engineering Manager for Water Utilities. They do not have to drain them. There's rails in there that on all of our lift stations, we have the ability to pull the pumps out. It locks. There's a piece at the bottom of the pump that stays in place, but really the motor and the impeller unlocks and we pull it out and we change these out. These pumps, just for, I guess, size, and you can't tell in the picture, they're about 6 to 8 feet tall and probably 2 feet around. So 70 horse, in some ways, doesn't sound too big to me, but I was shocked that the pumps are as big as me or bigger.
Thank you very much.
Other questions? Yes, Commissioner Reed.
Thank you. You know, it's amazing me, they're getting, with all the phosphate industry and stuff we have here, like Barney's Pumps and all those guys down in Marlboro, we can't get a local bid to bid this, but I'm sure, I don't know, where's the company from that's actually going to get these from? It didn't say here.
The pumps are made by Flight. Xylem is the provider. We want to put all the same pumps back in, so it works with the controls and the electrical system. So that's why we already have all those pumps in place. That's why we want to put those same pumps in place again. So Flight has an arrangement with Xylem here in Florida to be the supplier. I don't know offhand where the Xylem office is at and where their warehouses are at.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments from commission? Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And our last item is a proposed recyclable materials processing agreement with Republic Services of Florida. Our current agreement with Republic is at its end, and Republic, what they do for us is they have a materials recycling facility. They receive all the recycling materials collected by the city's solid waste trucks, clean that, sort it, and then sell it on the secondary recycling market. And as I said, that we're at the end of our current agreement with them. So in September of 2022, the Solid Waste Division issued an RFP for new recycling services. Republic Services was the sole respondent to that RFP. We've negotiated an agreement with them, and the agreement is for a initial one-year period with 2 additional one-year periods that can be exercised upon the mutual consent of the parties. The processing fee to be paid to Republic for all the services that they will provide for the first 6 months of this contract is $155 per ton. That fee will be increased by 5% to a $162.75 per ton fee for the second 6 months of that initial term, and then will be increased by 5% for each additional one-year renewal term that's exercised by the parties. So again, the way this works is we provide the recycling materials to Republic. They clean it, sort it, and sell it out on the secondary recycling market. We pay them a processing fee, which is offset by what they can generate by selling our recycling materials on that secondary market. With all that taken into account, we are estimating currently that the city will make a net payment to Republic this year for the first year of the contract of $622,000. Just a little bit for comparison purposes, if we just simply landfilled all those recycling materials, that cost would be $265,979. So we're looking at the ultimate net cost of this as being $356,021. That is provided in the, actually we have budgeted $622,000 provided in the FY 2023 solid waste budget. That's recommended for your approval.
We have a motion to approve.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Music and a second by Commissioner Simmons. Any questions for, yes, Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Gene and Heath, I know we had talked about this on Friday, and I asked about Republic being the only response to the proposal. And I know there's more information coming on our own lift station potentially in the future. Is there a situation where you can see where we wouldn't have a Republic or another outside vendor where we can sell recyclables? And then what does that look like? If this is a one-year contract and we have one vendor, I'm just curious kind of
Gene Ginn, Solid Waste and Recycling Manager for the city. There are other entities out there. There are MRFs nearby in Sarasota, Tampa, and over in Orange County. Currently, the issue with hauling to them, it would be we have no way to direct haul with our trucks to those facilities because of the time it takes. Currently, Republic is the most local MRF in town, which is a material recovery facility. And so we're always looking for options, and the potential of the transfer station in the future would give us more options for our recyclable material.
okay. So you don't see a scenario where there's not a vendor. I mean, there are.
There's plenty of vendors nearby. Tampa's the closest one. We just have to work out logistics on our end to transfer that material to Tampa for processing, instead of using our route trucks to do that. Does that make sense? Hopefully it makes sense.
When will we hear more on the transfer station?
You should hear more on the transfer station in about a month.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thanks, Jean. Thanks, Heath. All right, we have we did a consent agenda item under Finance Director that passed. We have nothing under item 8, utility, and now is the audience portion of our meeting. If anyone would like to address the City Commission, please state your name and address, come to the center podium, and you have 5 minutes.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Spears. I am the...
Sorry, your address, sir?
Pardon?
Your address, sir?
My address is 1222 Congenial Street, Lakeland, Florida. So I am here to address the ordinance proposal about the homeless feeding in Munn Park. I represent, and I'm the spokesperson for, I am the spokesperson for an organization called Feed My Sheep CFL. You've been made aware that the city has asked the city attorney to draft up an ordinance allowing only 2 events a year for the homeless outreaches. This will restrict only 1 homeless outreach, Feed My Sheep CFL. We are the only outreach that fills out the paperwork, pays the fees, and does it the correct way. 1 outreach 4 times a year. Is that a word? The ordinance. Our outreach pays a city fee. In that, we are provided electricity and a city worker who maintains the garbage for us at a cost. We pay. No garbage left behind. We are also required to have liability insurance on our event. We also provide a handicapped toilet so no one needs to use the restrooms in the alleys. We also serve food at this event that has not ever caused any sickness, vomiting, or diarrhea. We give out blankets and jackets to the citizens of America that are cold, the few days that we're cold here. We give shoes to the feet of the walker who has run his to the soul. Soul, what a good word here, soul. I've come a long way, and my past could be for nothing. But if I share my story, if I can help one person have hope for a better tomorrow, it was not all for nothing. It does my soul good. 1 organization. As I lay this out to you, there's only 1 organization that rents the park. And this I've researched with Kim Stopiak, with the city parks. She's confirmed we are it. We do it correctly. I've had to switch this around for you. So anyway, why do the homeless come to Munn Park? We don't bring them to Munn Park. They're already there. That's why organizations come to Munn Park, is because the gathering is there. Why do they come? They come from the Talbot House and they come from the Lighthouse. The park is a safe refuge for them. It's peaceful, clean, and close to both of these facilities. Both organizations provide showers, food, and a safer place to sleep, as far as I know. When morning comes, the ones not in a program have to leave and wait to go back at 4 to get back into these facilities. They could wait in less safe places where the drugs still run free in our cities. But these are not wanting the drug scene, nor feel safe in it. What about the homeless that are not drug addicts or alcoholics? How about people on the streets with special needs, mentally handicapped? Their keeper may have passed away and are just victims of the street because they no longer have those people. Are not the homeless still citizens of America? Are many considered the citizens of Lakeland? Yes, I say they are. I, at our last outreach, saw my roommate from 30 years ago. Another, I saw a coworker from 20 years ago. My friend from my 20s. And a man who I know is family, and they haven't seen him for years, but he comes to the event and I take his picture and I send it to his sister, and she is very happy to see that he is still alive and doing fairly okay. We at Feed My Sheep CFL and that is for Central Florida, have been renting the park facilities for over 5 years now. We bring a music and a testimony venue. Our music has been joined by the homeless and the people that come to the sidewalk sale and other persons around. And the people at the sidewalk sale are very welcoming and help us in many ways with the parking situations. The testimony is from a former homeless man, a former drug addict that has been clean for over 17 years, an alcoholic, myself. Our rewards are many. To listen to the voices of the broken lift up in harmony, praise, hope, and love. To see the responses on their faces and see the understanding that they are not alone. They are loved and worth being loved. Rich or poor, we all long for love. The questions that have arisen to this is the complaints, as I understand them, raw food being undercooked, given to the homeless.
Sir, you have about 15 seconds.
Okay. Well, anyway, then I'll just shorten the whole thing. What I would like to propose is, first off, you not create an ordinance that only affects the one organization that is doing the job correctly, and that is my organization. There are no other organizations. I would also like to offer my thoughts and knowledge of the homeless situation downtown, and being a former homeless man, I've reached out to the attorney. I would be more than happy to speak with him, sit with him, and try to form, I think, a more workable plan.
Thank you, sir. We really appreciate it. And thanks for your organization for all it does for our community, because I think everyone here on the commission, I'm speaking for everyone, and I know for the mayor, we do take this very seriously. We want to be a caring and loving community here in the city of Lakeland. We appreciate that you're following the guidelines that have already been set forth. So thank you, and I'm sure the dialogue will continue. Commissioner Music, do you have a question?
I was just going to echo that. You know, one of my questions when we were in our strategic planning was, do we have laws already in place that people are not following? So I want to echo Mayor Pro Tem by saying thank you for having a restroom, filling out the paperwork. But I think even more importantly is your comment at the end of being willing to be part of a dialogue as to how do we fix this? How do we, we are always going to have people in need. Your job will always be secure, unfortunately. But how do we balance as a city the parks, the rec, the things that people want to go to, and the feeding and the care that you guys are providing? And I think the biggest thing that we have there is we've got to get all of those individuals that are looking to be part of that answer together, so that we're not talking to you and then we're talking to this person, this organization over here, and it's a Mad Hatter of conversation. So I appreciate you being willing, and I hope that is something that we can come together soon and get everybody that is part of that conversation and get that dialogue going, because we've got to come up with something, because it isn't going to stop here today. So we've got to find a way to help you and help our citizens, help those in need.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. If you'll give your information to Kevin Cook, and then we'll make sure, that's Kevin raising his hand, we'll make sure to connect with you to continue this dialogue. But we appreciate you coming here today. Thank you so much.
I thank you all for your time
Thank you, sir.
and consideration to this matter. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, you too. Appreciate that. Anyone else that would like to address the City Commission? Seeing none, now is time for the mayor and our Mayor Pro Tem and City Commissioner comments. Who wants to go first? Anyone over here? No? Yes, Commissioner McLeod, we'll beat you to it.
Well, the state legislative session starts tomorrow, so we will be getting updates. I know Emily sent the first legislative update from Dave Sheff, our city's lobbyist. Thank you, Emily. Those are very helpful. So we will stay tuned and see what happens. And I know there's Polk County days and Lakeland days in April, and so is the season for legislative session.
Absolutely. All right, Commissioner Reed.
Thank you. Well, I'm just going to, in the near, excuse me, in the near future, and in March 27th, we have the Sun and Fun going to start. Yep. So everybody be apprised, and at the end of the month, it's going to be, if you're going to go to the restaurant, you better make your reservations. Pipkin Road's gonna be, well-traveled, make a long story short. They've sold out more vendors than they've ever had before. They've sold out more tickets than they've had before at this point in time. If you do decide to go, I encourage you to buy your ticket online. It's $10. If you go and buy your ticket on site, it's $20. So it's a big savings if you go ahead and buy it online. And they've got some great shows going to be there. They had a lot of new military planes and stuff that will be there for everybody to see and experience. So it should be a spectacular show. We do have a new director this year, Gene Conrad, who's made a lot of changes. His parking's going to be a little easier to deal with, and so I encourage everyone to come. And if you're not going to go, you may want to stay away.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Madden.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Last week was American Public Power Association's flying into Washington, D.C., and Florida Municipal Electric Association always goes along, for that as well. So we have a good delegate. We have a good delegate coming from the state to make sure that we have issues affecting public power front of mind. I think it's always important, to advocate for, whatever it is that you do. But when energy is being disrupted like never before in over 100 years, it's certainly even more important, to be there and be in front of folks and to be able to tell your story. Every year, that's kind of the most important factor of us going is it's not just lobbyists, it's actual residents. And so whatever my political persuasion might be, Democrat, Republican, and that's a huge deal, obviously, at the nation's capital, really, when you are a resident and you have a story to tell that you've had affordable, reliable power for over 100 years, and then that dividend that comes back to the city instead of stakeholders in a large company is used to be able to buy fire trucks and to be able to, develop parks for your citizens, is a very compelling story to tell. And then to say that that's why we have lower property taxes than the services that we're able to offer our citizens. And so we had a great group from Lakeland Electric attend, to go up there and to be a part of the Florida delegation and to talk to our Congressman Scott Franklin and to Laura Lee's new office staff up there in DC, and then also with Marco Rubio and Rick Scott's staff. And then Cindy Clemens stayed even an extra day to go with some more Florida delegates from around the state. There's also, like Commissioner McLeod said, some issues coming that will, could, directly put in jeopardy our public electric utility, and it's not unusual. Every year, there's attempts made, and I think we, kind of have used the home rule term even maybe ad nauseum into where the, the legislators don't like that term anymore. But the focus is don't use a broad brush because of a bad actor. Don't, legislate at the lowest common denominator. And so there are some issues, like always with some, municipal utilities, maybe they didn't hedge like we hedged. And so the gas was exorbitantly expensive in the last year and a half, whereas we were able to mitigate some of that because of our hedging processes with Tori Bombard's skills. Maybe they don't regulate how much of a dividend they give back to the citizens, and so the citizens don't feel maybe they're getting the best fiscal management from their utility. So it's always good for our citizens to know that we have a public electric utility, that we don't have a large company providing power. We have local citizens and neighbors who work for our utility, who are there when we need storm recovery, and who are listening when our gas is high or the prices and the rate increase. I think everyone knows we're very iterative and conscientious of every little penny that we try to increase our rates. and then still invest in our utilities so that we're able to continue to provide power, those 6 RICE engines that are coming in and injectable, with green hydrogen, going into the future. We really have a lot to be proud of here in Lakeland. And just like we were bragging on Chuck and the Community Development Department team and the best practices with planning, we are planning for our future, so that we can continue to provide electric power. But that can become political, like everything else. There are people who think everything should be privatized. There are people who think that, we should just sell out to a big company and let someone else do our power. And so if we don't know, what our citizens actually feel, and it actually went to a referendum when we were going through a charter change, to be able to say, do we want it easier to sell Lakeland Electric? And at the time, our citizens said, no, we just don't even want it to be easier to sell. We've really appreciated being locally owned and having that local accountability, and so, and the benefit of the dividends. So that's just something that's coming now to the state issue, and of course it's, we're able to talk about all sorts of things. A lot of it has to do with the IRA and the IIJA monies that's coming from the Biden administration, to be able to, make sure that we're leveraging those funds. If we need to invest for the future to be cleaner, that we need to figure out how we can partner with neighboring utilities, that we can partner with industry partners like Williams Property, who owns the property out by Florida Poly, who's a natural gas company. They'd like to build solar with us. They'd like to do some things that are cleaner. And so making use of those dollars to be able to invest, in 30-year assets is really important. And so it was great to be with the Florida Municipal Electric Association team and to be able to represent our local utility as well as the state and the Southeast on the American Public Power Association's Policymaker Council. And just excited to, keep going in the same direction, and thrilled that we've got, the folks at Lakeland Electric, who are keeping those things always front of mind, from pole attachments to bonding to getting similar tax incentives when we make investments. And then my final thing is, I just wanted to, since we did have the gentleman come in with the Feed My Sheep, I do hope to hear from Commissioner McLeod sometime soon. I know you mentioned that you're the liaison on the Homeless Coalition. Just, I don't know how often that meets, but whenever they do meet, I'd love to hear, what they have to say about the conversation, if this gentleman's on that coalition, or, who is. So that would be great.
Our last meeting got canceled, but we'll try to get to the next one and/or make rounds to some of the members.
Okay, thank you, sir. That'd be great. Anything from this side of the dais? Still, no?
Oh, I've got something.
Yes, sir.
With regard to the homeless issue, and the gentleman coming before speaking, someone made the statement, I don't know who it was, that there should be a collaboration of the providers for the homeless people, Talbot House, Lighthouse. And there's certainly a lot of other organizations out there. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we could all come together and kind of hash out potential solutions, or explore potential solutions as to how we could, if not fix, at least mitigate the problem. You know what I mean? So that's something I'd be very much interested in. And certainly, Commissioner McLeod, Commissioner Shedd, I'd like to hear what's going on in that regard.
Awesome. Yes, City Manager Strauss.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just to update the commission on that, about 2 weeks ago now, I met with Bridget Engelman, who actually was a city employee at one point in time, and she's now the director of the Polk County Homeless Coalition. And so we sat down in my office and started having some conversations similar to some of the things that I stated at our strategic planning retreat, where we are revitalizing Munn Park, and that certainly will have some unintended consequences, but the park is for everyone. No one is excluded as long as they're abiding by the rules. But one of the things that we know is a gap in this community is many of the homeless needs are currently served at night, but not during the day. There's no programming, there's no facility, there's no location, and so we deal with the consequences of that. And one of the things that I spoke to Ms. Engelman about is, what are those who are best situated and has experience and knowledge in how to serve the homeless, you know, what do they need? Where could the city potentially partner to assist them, and specifically in the idea of some form of daytime services or programming? And so I'm interested to see that conversation continue, and just want the commission to know that certainly we will be back to the commission for more discussion as we move forward, but staff is involved and in many ways is leading the idea that we need to have those discussions, in hopes, however, that the city can support those organizations who that is their true mission.
Thank you. And on that note, just to clarify too, that when we talk about city support, that comes in a lot of different ways. It's not necessary financial support. It is really leveraging the services and the things that we have to offer our community at large in working with these coalitions and working with these groups to make sure that all of our residents feel supported here in the city of Lakeland. But I want to be very hesitant to say that when the city is involved, it doesn't mean there's necessarily a check. So let's just be very cognizant of that. And in addition to that, I know Gospel Inc. works very diligently. It's another organization that's part of the Coalition for the Homeless, and they do a lot here locally, and we have supported them in the past and hope to continue to do that in the future. The few items I have on my list, just to wrap up the meeting, are Ridge League of Cities meets this week for the public at large. That's all the municipalities throughout the Ridge, which includes Polk County, Highlands, and Hardy. We come together. I'm the liaison from the city of Lakeland for that. That meeting will be in Bartow on Thursday evening. And it's a great time to just sort of connect with our neighbors and see what's going on. And also there's typically a guest speaker, and then we stay very abreast of the legislative activities that are in Tallahassee, which will commence tomorrow, as Commissioner McLeod said, at 10 a.m. with a State of the State speech from our governor. And I think that'll commence around 10:30 tomorrow morning. You can check out the Florida channel and see what's going on there. To echo Commissioner Reed, the Mayor's Sun and Fun Breakfast was last week that kicks off Sun and Fun, and I had the opportunity to speak, and it was a great event. It was well attended by a lot of residents and our community at large, as well as other elected officials from Polk County, and our school board were there. Our city team does an amazing job, specifically the Lakeland Linder Airport team, as well as Sun and Fun. So it's a really exciting event, as Commissioner Reed discussed. I hope you'll look into going there and seeing all the fun that they have out there. Spring training is underway. The longest running partnership for Major League Baseball is the City of Lakeland and the Detroit Tigers. So we're excited that that's continuing right now. And just on the agenda this week, for me personally, is our transit meeting is on Wednesday morning. I have an individual meeting with our transportation planning organization tomorrow just to catch up on what's going on and if there are any things going on in the legislature session this year that we need to be aware of. So with all that being said, thank you for your time today. I will adjourn the meeting.
Well done.
10:38.
What a champ.